everyone. It looks like we are live. So if you're with us, give us a shout out. Tell us where you're from. It is March, you guys. This is actually, I don't know if everybody knows this, but this is actually National Craft Month. So we have a lot of exciting things coming, and we wanted to do an extra video. And I'll tell you why we're doing this video. Here's a behind the scenes kind of truth. Is that we have been so busy. Brittany, who is doing all of our video editing right now and shooting, Brittany and I have been putting together, what is it, 11? She's standing behind the camera there.
Yes.
We did 11 kits that are actually launching next week. They're the frosted paper flower kits. They're brand new. They are gorgeous. So we had to do all those video tutorials and get them done. They'll be done on Monday as well. So we have been so busy doing those videos for the kits that we haven't had time to do as many craft videos for you guys. So we thought, okay, the fastest way to do it is go live because, you know, one and done, we just get it out there. You're here with us. It's a perfect way to get another craft on the table. So this isn't really a member make per se, but it is a really fun craft, and I want you guys to make it and share your photos with us once you have. So can you move that over. So shout out, let us know where you're from. We have a few more minutes before we're gonna start. So I'm gonna take some little sip of coffee here. Anna, anyone talking?
Yeah, we have people from Romania, Denmark, North Carolina, Seattle.
I love it. Okay, and look, we have Enzo here too. I'm gonna put him down in a minute, but he wanted to say hello. Say hello. Say hello, Enzo. Okay, he's done. He's gonna go to his bed now. It's hard to craft with the dog on your lap. Yes, so as you could see, when we first started, we had the irises in front because we're learning that when you click that live button, oh, whoops, Enzo's getting into the craft supplies. When we click that live button, we're finding out that even though it doesn't say it's live yet, it is. So then I sit there and it looks really awkward. So we decided to put the flowers in front so you guys could get a sneak peek of what we're making today. It's actually on the site. You can go and get your patterns right now. How are we doing on time? What's I don't know, my clock's turned off here. 11:02? Okay, we can actually get started. Okay, so you can go ahead and go to the site, and we have the pattern that we're working on today, which I'm calling this the Dutch Iris. I did some research, and yeah, here's the pattern. I did some research and I wanted to try and differentiate because there are so many different irises and so many different varieties. So I'm calling this one the Dutch Iris. It is the smaller iris. It oftentimes is a darker purple, which you can work on getting some color. Yeah, I'll move this over just so it's not in the way. You can work on getting darker color, but this is the crepe paper color that we have, and it also comes in the lighter as well. It's a very small, simple iris, and I actually updated the actual pattern for this one because we went and bought some irises and we actually pulled them apart and measured them and really looked at how they were put together, which we do that sometimes. I can't say we do it all the time. Sometimes it's hard to find flowers in season when we're wanting to make a flower. It just isn't out there. So this one we actually did that. So I wanted to show you guys how to make this. And in addition, I also am going to show you how to make this very simple. This is a bit of a different iris. It's probably a really great starter iris, even though it does look a bit fancier. It's not. This one's a little harder than this one. But I'm going to show you how to make this one as well. And this is actually from our book. I'll show you here. So you can find it. You can find the whole tutorial in our book. But I thought, why not? Let's do both. I'm going to show you both techniques. They're very similar. A few differences. So we'll do that as well. All right. So since we have two irises to make today, I'm not going to spend a lot of time cutting things out. So I've pre-cut. I'll show you a couple of little things I wanted to talk about. I'm using the lilac paper. And this is the extra fine crepe paper. And I'll just hold this up. Well, actually, I'll hold this one up. So this is the extra fine crepe paper. And one of my favorite things to do with extra fine crepe paper is add in the wire, because that gives so much structure to these petals and it really allows you to shape them Anna is over here and she will shout out any questions you have. So make sure if you have a question while I'm talking and teaching, just make a big Q, a capital Q or a capital question so she can see those. Sometimes we get a lot of comments going on and it's harder if things are moving fast for her to catch them really quick. So if you have a question, make sure and shout it out because we really want to answer. We want you to make these flowers and have them looking so beautiful. All right, so I have that color, and then I'm also using this color, which comes in the same pack, and this one is the juniper. So it's kind of a mid-tone green. We have another one here that's more of a yellow tone green, but it's not that. It's the juniper, which is the mid-tone green. And I'm only using these for the scape itself, and then I'm also cutting them and using them for to wrap around the stem because I wanted it to match really well. So I'm using that. And then for the leaves, I am finding this type of leaf, the really long skinny leaf, I prefer using the double-sided. It just gives it the body and the strength so that it stands up really nicely. So you can use that. This is probably my favorite crepe paper that we have, and it's also the one that sells the most. So okay, so that's what we're gonna do. And then other materials that I have this white paper covered wire, and I'm using white because the color of the crepe paper is fairly light. I don't want a dark green to show through it. Now, if you're using, this is the color we're gonna do later. If you're doing something like this, you can use a darker wire. That would be fine. I like the white, doesn't show through. Easy. This one is actually like a 24 or a 26 gauge. You can even go lighter if you want to. You could do a 28 gauge. That will give you enough structure. So I have that going on. Then I have my stems here. This is my absolute favorite stem for this type of flower. We have the link for you. It's on the website. I know it may be below, but it's definitely on the website under this post. It will tell you this. And this actually has a bit of a padding to it. There's a wire inside, but it's thicker. Now, we know from experience that oftentimes these are sold out. So if you keep this tab open and you keep checking and making for sure that you know when they have some in stock, grab them quick because they are so worth it to have. How's it going over there, Anna? I need to take a breath and drink some coffee.
Somebody comment on that's a big mug.
Oh, I know, right? And this is my second one today. Yeah, it's happy March. Okay, so the pattern. One of the things, oh, there's Enzo barking. One of the things that I wanted to talk about with the pattern, partially because I made the mistake myself. Should we shut the door so we can't hear Enzo barking? Sorry about that. Okay, when I cut some of these on the Cricut Maker. Because I was doing a whole bunch of flowers and it was just a fast way to do it. And then I cut some by hand as well. But the first time I cut them on the Maker, I actually cut them straight. And so my grain lines weren't correct and I had to throw them all away and start over because it's really important, and I'll show you here, that you get your grain line. Can you see that? You want that slight V. You really, really need that to get the look that we're going for here. If it's straight up and down, it just doesn't look quite as nice. Now, if you do it wrong, you cut them straight, use them anyway, because you can use them in the back of your bouquet if you want to. Don't toss them like I did, but since I was doing a tutorial, I needed them to be right. So really, really watch your grain line on that. And one of the things that, I've showed you guys this a million times, but I'll show you again just because it's a good tip. If you're cutting by hand, and so I'm putting the pattern so that the grain line matches the grain. There must be something really exciting going on outside. All right, so I'm gonna cut this petal. I'll just cut out a chunk so it's easier to manage. I'll show you guys. And you then cut this line, the flat line where you join it in the middle. The thing that you want to remember is you have two of these beautiful flat lines. Do not throw this away or toss it. Just flip it around and lay it right underneath, and then you can cut two petals at once. So that's a great way to save time and paper. See, I'll spread it out here so you can see. So it's just a really great way to do it. Now, if you're cutting it on the Cricut Maker, my tip to you is do not rotate the pattern. We set it up for you so that it's right, so that it goes with your grain line, and you'll want to put your grain line up and down on your Cricut Maker. So don't rotate it if you want to if you think you can get more petals out of it. If you rotate it, don't do it. You'll be sorry. So anyhow, okay, let's assemble some patterns. Or some petals, I mean. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to start with this one. This is the larger outer petal, and I have 2 pieces. One of my favorite things to do is use the tacky glue. Again, I'm going to talk about this. This is my all-time favorite glue. I'll just get it really close. There we go. My all-time favorite glue for making crepe paper flowers, and I like this bottle. I like the one that sits upside down so that your glue is always at the bottom. So it's the Turbo Tacky. I will measure the wire on my petal, and I'm going to pinch the wire right there. Then I'll slide it right into the bottle. Do I need my glasses here? And then just squeeze, and you get this beautiful, we're going to get a nice little, I don't know if you can get a close-up because of there we go. So you just have this beautiful, very consistent line of glue. I'll place that right on the edge. It just rolled off, that's okay. I'll place it right on the edge and then place the other petal right on top. It's very easy. And then just press it down. I like having that vein in the center as well. I'm going to put my glasses on. Okay, press it down. I usually turn it over and press it down again. If you get some glue on the crepe paper, it does dry clear. I'll take my little mini scissors here and just clean up the tips so that they come together at a nice point. And then you just let that dry. So that's the larger petal. Now we have the inner petal. This one's a little bit different. You can see if I hold them up together, they have a little bit of a kick like this. And the reason, well, when we have it all glued together, we're going to want it to look like, I can't even talk. I think it's the coffee. Maybe 1 cup is a better idea. Okay, so I'm only putting the wire in the first or in the bottom half, and then let these kind of splay out. So that's why it's cut like that. So we'll do that. Same idea. I can't remember when we discovered, this wire technique for our extra fine crepe paper, but I feel like it really changed the look of our flowers for the extra fine. Extra fine, it's newer. The Italian crepe paper had been shipping into the US for quite a while, but they only had the really heavy crepe paper. And after I stopped using the Chinese paper, I started using the Italian, which was really heavy, and I loved it, but there was a lack of delicateness that you could get out of the petals. So, having this as an alternative or having it as an option for some of the flowers, I just think is so brilliant. I'm really happy that we were able to bring this in. I remember making, hundreds of paper flowers out of the heavy crepe paper, and my fingers would get really sore because it's pretty rough. Okay, so I have 3 of each. 3 of these, and then 3 of these. Whoop, let's see, 3 of these. And then I have 3 of these petals, and this will actually be my second layer of petals. Okay, so what I'll do with these first ones is I'm going to go, well, actually, let me curl them first. This always works better. I'm going to use my curling tool. If you don't have a curling tool, use the edge of your scissors. You can also use a credit card. Somebody threw that out the other day, and I thought that was pretty brilliant. And I'll very softly, gently curl them so it looks like this. I'll hold it up tight. There we go. Hopefully that's in focus. So I'll do that first. And if you have any folds like this one, you can see there's a bit of a fold. This will take it out. You can see how that it's almost like ironing your crepe paper. So it takes it out, yes. Anna, feel free to shout out anything.
Yeah, we have a great question.
Okay.
Any tips for keeping the wire straight? I find mine get crooked and gluing on the edge is difficult.
Yeah, my tip to that, put on some really good glasses so you can see. That's what I have to do. And it just takes practice. I think, like anything else, after a while you just become more and more in tune with how to lay it down. It helps that your wire is as straight as possible. I know sometimes these really light wires get bent. and that makes it a little more difficult. So I might save, if a wire's bent, like this one has a little bend on the end, I might set that aside for something else and then just only use the wires that are as straight as possible. I think that helps a lot. The other thing too, if you're not able to get it right on the edge, I mean, this is a lot of practice. I don't know if you guys can see any backlight on this. Here, there we go. So you can see the backlight and you can see my overlap. Even if you don't have that tight of an overlap, just keep making flowers. It's not going to show that much. I think, you know, make them at the level that you're at and know that the more you practice, the more fine-tuned you'll become. So that would be my tip for that. All right, once I've curled these, I'm going to go ahead and give them a bit of a stretch on the edge so that they ruffle. I was going to go get a manicure, you guys, and I just didn't have time. Today is a busy day for us here in the studio, and I'll tell you why in a second. We have kind of a little announcement to make. So, oh well. I always prefer having the nails done, but sometimes life happens. All right, so now we have this a little bit stretched, so we have this beautiful ruffle. And I'm going to arrange them so that the curves and the ruffles face each other. It's a little trickier to do when you have three, but you know, you can see this. It's not completely facing each other, but it's a good start. And then this is where I will use some floral tape. I'm using, you know, the color that matches the leaf the best. Don't worry about the color because it really won't show by the time we're done. So I'm actually covering just a bit of the crepe paper. I'm not starting underneath where the crepe paper ends. I'm actually covering just a bit of it and just tightly bundle that up and bring it down. Okay, then take the wires and just, you can rearrange them and bring them into kind of this formation. I'm going to close it up a bit, but you know, you can pull them out more so to get it started. And then I want it to be fairly tight, so let's look at the final here. You can see how it all comes together, the points come together, so that's what I'm going to work for next.
We had a question on how long does it take for the glue to dry?
Yeah, it doesn't really take that long. I would say, you know, 5 minutes for enough that you can pick it up and go ahead and arrange. So you can see I just glued it and then I went ahead and used it and it worked pretty good.
And then somebody was wondering or saying, I need to glue my floral tape because it doesn't stick.
Okay.
Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah, floral tape doesn't really glue. Let me give you guys a quick little pointer. So you can see I went back and curled a bit more of that. I want to go back one notch first. So you were asking, someone was asking how long should you let it dry. So it was just a matter of minutes before I actually picked it up and worked with it. However, on these petals, I'm going to add some pen pastel, and I do want it to be dry on the pen pastel if some of the glue seeped out onto the crepe paper, because it will otherwise glop up the pen pastel. All right, floral tape. I'm gonna give you a quick little tip here. So floral tape is weird. You know, it's not really sticky. It's actually quite dry. So the way that you're going to get this to work, I'll just put it on a stem here. You have to stretch it and heat it up with your hands just a bit. And floral tape sticks best. So you can even see it's not even sticking. It works best when you stick it to itself. So as I'm wrapping it around, I'm warming it up with my fingers and I'm stretching it and it sticks to itself. Glue does not work with floral tape. Hot glue or white glue will not stick with floral tape because it's wax. It's actually like a tissue paper with wax on it. Okay, I'm out of focus. There we go, that's better. It's great that I have this monitor here so I can watch what I'm doing, but sometimes I forget and look at the monitor. Okay, so you can see how I'm stretching and twisting and sticking it to itself, and there you go, it sticks. Out of focus, here we go. My hand sometimes helps. So I can't slide it off because it's sticking. Again, it takes a little bit of practice, so give yourself some time and space to do that. But I'm going to show you another trick. So if you don't like working with the floral tape, I think that something like this, it's perfect because it's an instant. I don't have to add glue to it, or if I'm using a crepe paper tape, I have to put glue on it first. This sticks to itself instantly once you learn how to use it, which is great for this. Again, I'm going to show you another tip. All right, that's the first set of petals. Then the second ones are pretty easy. I want the tips to kind of be curled like this. I don't want much curl other than that. I'll just do 3 of those. And then I'll give it some stretch right in the body.
We have a question if you're working on another book.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny that someone just asked that because last night I was actually thinking about another book. Anna doesn't know this because I haven't talked about it. I would like to hear from you guys. Like, what would you like to see in another book? My thought was to do a book on frosted paper flowers, similar to crepe paper flowers, so that we have kind of that beginner's guide. But what do you guys want to see? Yeah, let us know. And we work with a publisher right now, so the publisher has to see the demand for the book before they're willing to invest in it. So the more demand we have, yes, I love writing books. That's a lot of fun. All right, so I've arranged these, and I've arranged them kind of in between each of the other 3 petals, more or less. Take another piece of tape. If you want to, you can glue them if you feel more comfortable, just adding just a titch of hot glue to keep them in place. That's fine too. And then again, I'm wrapping it right over the top of the crepe paper. So I want to just really bundle that up and hold it together. Bringing that down the spine a little. And now I can go back and arrange it and get it exactly. These little points are bothering me, so I'm going to go right in with my curling tool and just curl them right down so that they don't stick up so far. Okay, I want it to be a little bit tighter. I can always go in and add extra tape if I want to, but I think that's ready. It's not perfect, but it's ready. All right, so our last 3. Now these, I wanted to add that bit of pan pastel in the middle. I'll show it to you guys, of the spine. These particular flowers, I want to rearrange that petal because it's bothering me. These particular flowers are actually not bearded, so the pollen on these petals are actually just pollen. They're not that fuzzy, fluffy bearded. I'm going to pick a nice kind of light. I don't like it to be too harsh for this particular one. And I have a few different colors of pan pastels here. I have a brighter yellow. This one is called Hansa yellow, which is, it's almost a neon. And then this one is actually called, okay, I don't even know how to say this. It's D-R-Y, D-I-A-R-Y, diary, lid, L-I-D-E. Okay, yellow. There's numbers on this too. So I have a couple different yellows. You can use whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. And then I'll just gently paint that pollen right into the center. And I like in this case, I'm going to use both colors. You can see the difference. Actually, I'll show you the difference. So here's the bright neon. You can use a sponge if you prefer. And then here is a little bit more orange. It's going to react different depending on the color of your crepe paper. Here, I'll show these to you. Can you see them? I got to get it behind the light, so. Oh, man. Okay, there we go. This one is much stronger than this one. Wait, no, there we go. I had it backwards. I'm trying to look at it in the monitor there. You can see the difference. This one's much lighter than this one. So, but I like them both. You can do whatever you want. Once I'm done with this one, I'll flip it over and do the other side as well. And I'm painting, I would say, a little less than halfway up, and I'm keeping the pastel right in the spine. Some of the flowers that I've done in the past, some of the irises, I've used gold, which I like. This one is, here's a gold here, and this is the light gold. So it has a bit of an iridescence to it, which is beautiful. This is just a flat color. This doesn't have any pearl. Okay, so then for these, I'll do the same thing where I want to curl the tips. Now since there's a wire all the way down to the end, you really can only curl the edges. One of my tips on curling crepe paper is you always want to try, even though I have this at an angle, so I have my curling tool at an angle of the direction that I want it to curl, I don't pull it this way. I only go the direction of the grain. That takes a bit of practice, but it's easy once you figure it out. So once I'm done, get my hand there, there we go. Your curl should look like this. Thank you, Brittany, for setting up the monitor so I could see. It really helps. That way I can know you guys are seeing exactly what I'm doing and getting all the details. So all three of those. Then I'll go ahead and give it a bit of a stretch for a ruffle. And then you can just take this wire and bend it to give it that nice tip. And we'll go ahead, we'll do this, just the tips right now, and then once we put them on the flower, we'll add some more shape with the wire. You don't want to overstretch. I just overstretched that one and it made it look a little rumply. So be gentle, you know, stretch it gently. I always like to say stretch it like it's clay. So, all right, so all my tips are done. And I'm placing them a bit down. So the tape is here and I'm placing them down just a touch. Again, I want to tape the paper. So I'll bring that, whoops, and I'm backwards. If you put it on backwards, that's okay. You can always flip it around once you have it taped. So place these all around evenly as much as you can. And then take your tape. And I'm taping over the crepe paper again. And then bringing that down the stem. Now I'm down the stem maybe an inch, and that's when I'm going to put in my heavier wire. So I'll just slide that in and wrap. And in this case, I need a little bit more tape. So this tape, it's actually a fairly good match, but I want to really make it match these scapes. So here's the trick that I was talking about with you guys. I'll take some of my crepe paper and I just have it bundled up, and I'm going to trim the edge about a 1/2 inch. So I make myself a little piece of crepe tape. It's very uneven, doesn't matter. Looks like I've cut this once before for this reason. And in this case, you can use hot glue, but I'm going to use the white glue for this to start it. And I'll just cover that tape with this paper so that it's a really good match. And what I found works best is you do want to stretch it and almost smooth it out. That way you don't see the ridges as much. I'll give you, yeah, okay, you're giving a close up there. So that you don't see the ridges of the tape as they come down. If you stretch it, that was a little aha moment I had one day. I'm not going very far because I'm actually going to add some of these scapes in there. You don't have to glue the whole thing as you go. You can add a bit of glue if you feel like it's going to slip. So I'm going to put that in place. And then I think it's time to move these out. So I'm just moving them out, arching them. That's why this wire is so beautiful. It also keeps the flowers from getting crunched too easy and helps the life of the flowers last longer. And then I have these two scapes. So these, all I want to do is give it a bit of a stretch in the middle so it has this interesting little shape. Do that to both of them. And I can't remember if yeah, okay. So I'm actually putting, this is the bottom and this is the top. So you can see it's a little heavier up here. So this is the top. As it gets thinner, that would be the bottom. If you do it the other way, it's okay. And I have two of them. And I'm going to place them so they peek up right between the petals. Like that. Then I will go ahead, this is kind of fun. Actually, I think what I'll do is hot glue them in so that they're in place. And then I'm going to cover that with more of the paper. So So I'm gluing the paper onto the paper, not onto the floral tape. Floral tape just doesn't take glue at all. It definitely has its use, and you really do need to learn how to use it if you want to excel at flower making, because it will save you. Sometimes you really need the floral tape instead of glue. Okay, then I'm just going to finish up the stem, wrapping it with my crepe paper. And that's it. Then we have a flower. Look how beautiful that is. What do you guys think? This is so spring. This is so March. I've noticed these flowers in the grocery store, which, you know, you can buy them fresh too. That's always fun, but it's nice to have them in paper as well.
I have a couple of questions
Okay.
that are really good. So the first one is, does Italian paper stretch like the German paper?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. All right, there's this flower, and the next one I'm going to show you is actually, I'm going to do it with the heavier crepe paper. So the Italian crepe paper, does it stretch like the German crepe paper? From what I know, and I need to confirm this, we actually need to order a roll to confirm this, but the last time I checked, the Italian crepe paper, I think Cartafini was offering a lighter weight Italian crepe paper, and I think they were calling it 30 gram or 40 gram. Is that right, Anna?
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, so when we looked at it and tested it, it did not have a lot of stretch. It had very slight stretch to it, where our extra fine, which we don't go by gram, and there's a reason. I wrote about it in the book. The extra fine that we have is actually 150% stretch, and I would guess theirs was maybe 50 at the most % stretch, so you don't get as much. And that's true also with any of the American crepe paper, and also a lot of the Chinese crepe paper.
And the stretch is really the
The stretch is important. Yeah, it really is the game changer when you're making all these flowers. So I'm making the second flower with we call it heavy crepe paper, and it's equivalent to like the 160 gram Italian crepe paper. So it's not quite as thick as their 180. Their 180 is just really beefy, which is beautiful for huge flowers. It's really the preferred one for these big gigantic flowers. This has 250% stretch. So I will show you. So it's kind of fun. All right, so I have what, an inch and a half here, and that's how much it stretches. So that's a lot. You will not get this out of Chinese crepe paper. It just won't. There's my hand. There we go. You won't get this out of Chinese crepe paper at all. I believe from what I experienced, the Italian crepe paper does stretch about this much as well. So it does have a good stretch. I love Italian crepe paper. I love German more so, but I love Italian. My dog is Italian and German. How's that? Yeah. So yeah, it does work. The one thing that you'll note on Italian crepe paper is that it does have the cross lines that you have to kind of work around, but they also come in the longer rolls, which we decided to do the shorter rolls because it's easier to ship. We just had a lot of issues with the cost of shipping when we were doing the really long rolls. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, ask her another question and I'll try to get it for you.
Okay, and then we just want to point out that you're using a low temperature.
I am. You know, you can use high temperature if you want to. High temperature, I've burned myself many, many times. The low temperature works great with crepe paper. High temperature is great for other types of crepe paper. So, okay, now I'm going to show you the other one, which is this one here. This is almost more like a bearded version, although we don't have the beard on it, the fluffy pollen. But we will. We're going to do that one eventually. This one I think is the easiest flower for a beginner. So if you haven't made a lot of crepe paper flowers yet, I would say try this one first before you try this other one. And you can make this one. This is extra fine crepe paper. I'm going to make it today in heavy crepe paper, so you can use whatever you have. I would not use double-sided crepe paper for the petals on this one. So let's see here. The pattern is easy. You can download that as well. It's not on today's post, but we'll make sure and have a link for it. I will probably have to update that to have this flower in there as well. So it's the same. We have well, actually no, this is less petals. We have 3 petals looking like this and 3 like this. So you'll need 6 pieces of each. And then we have 2 leaves and then 3 of these. And I call this a sepal, but it's probably a scape. I probably need a botanist to kind of help me out with all my exact terms. All right, so this one I haven't started yet, and I'll go ahead and do this as quickly as possible. A lot of fun. So I have to just make sure I'm gluing the right petals. The small ones look very similar to the large ones. Right now is a great time to ask some questions.
And we have some great questions.
Oh, good. Okay.
How do you like to store your crepe paper? Flat roll, horizontal, vertical?
Yeah, we store our crepe paper in our studio horizontally. We have shelves that we place them all stacked up like this, so we can see the end, and that works really nicely. Especially these fit in the IKEA shelves really nicely because they're only 10 inches long.
And those are the IKEA Billy.
Yeah, the IKEA Billies, which are actually shorter than some of the other IKEAs, so they work really well. Although I have like a container back here. I also like this. I'll just show it to you guys. I love this, so I can kind of tote this around if I'm wanting to work on some crepe paper flowers on the weekend. I just grab this and I have everything I need. So either way, I think.
Also from IKEA.
Also from IKEA. I don't know if they have those anymore though. All right, these are ready. Any more questions, Anna?
Yes. Can you mix pan pastels to make your own shade?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely mix them. We've done ombre. Yeah, I think pan pastels are such a fun medium, and the great thing about working with them is they have a high pigment, so you don't really need a lot. They're not inexpensive. You know, they are a bit of an investment, but by the time, it's kind of like using good paint. I have to make a note on this one. So when you're doing the extra heavy crepe paper and you're gluing the spines in, since it does have a bit more wrinkle to it, you have to really get in there and press the spine together so that it stays. So it looks like that. Yay. Okay, we'll keep going.
All right, so what's the difference between double-sided crepe and the light and the heavy?
Okay, so the double-sided crepe paper is actually 2 pieces of extra fine crepe paper, and I'll show you here in a second. 2 pieces of extra fine crepe paper glued together. And it doesn't stretch as much, but there are beautiful flowers that really need that type of crepe paper. I love it for the roses. I love it for our gardenias. Looks so good, and it curls beautifully. What are some of the other ones we use? Oh, we use it for our newest, Megan used it for our newest magnolia, the big, huge magnolia flowers. So beautiful. Okay, there's 2.
And then we have a question, if you can cut these on a Cricut Air, or do you need a maker?
You have to have a maker. The Cricut Air, unfortunately, does not have the rotary blade, and in order to cut crepe paper, you have to have the rotary blade, or else the blade, the pointy blade, which I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Oh, I need it. No, not the knife blade, but the little pointy blade that is used on the Explore. We'll just pull the crepe paper, and it doesn't give a really good result. I've tried.
Are pan pastels a wet medium, or is it more like a chalk?
They're more like a chalk, but they're really dense. And again, it's like, you know, when you get that really high quality blush makeup or eyeshadow where the color's really dense and you don't have to use a lot, that's how pan pastels are. In fact, I think one of our readers said one time she used it as makeup, didn't she? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I do. We use it for coloring felt. We've used it on felt crafts before, and also on our frosted paper. So
when you cut the crepe paper for the stems, which way is the grain running?
For the stems, the grain is running the short way, so I'll show you that in just a second. This is great questions, you guys. Keep them coming. We want you to feel really, really comfortable when you're ready to make this. All right, so the grain is, can we see that? The grain is the short way, like this, so you can stretch it. Oh, there we go. So that's how you want the grain to go. Yep. Okay.
And what do you do with all the flowers that you're making? Are you putting them in flower arrangements, wreaths?
Yes. You know, right now we hang tight. We'll be right back.
I got a call from us at school. His phone and said they're gonna pick him up.
Oh no.
But I'll wait. Oh,
Okay.
okay, we're back.
We're back. Okay, good. Sorry about that, you guys. You know, technology, things happen. Okay, so I have these all glued together. Now I haven't really technically let them dry as long as I would want to, but we're not gonna sit here and watch them dry. So we're gonna go for it. I have a bigger brush here and I wanna show you a couple different techniques. I picked this really bright magenta. I forgot to tell you, this is plum and this is in our heavy crepe paper. I like the really bright color, but I want to add some dimension. So on these petals, I'm going to do it on the smaller petals. The smaller petals, I'll take some of this pan pastel and just brush it in to give it a little bit more of a dimension. And I'm brushing the direction of the grain. You can also use a sponge for this. Probably, I will tell you right now, a sponge might work better because you can really press it down into the grain. But you can see how, can you see, I'll bring it down here, how that added a bit of an ombre effect, which I love, 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 love. So I'll do that on both sides. Excuse me. We're actually having a pretty spring day here today in Portland, Oregon, which is nice, but I think all the pollens are coming out. All right, and we'll do the other side as well because I want, this petal shows from both sides. Do that quickly. And luckily I don't have any glue glops, so it's not sticking. I think we're okay there. I'll turn it over. Just remember when you're working with pen pastels, put a piece of paper or something underneath because it will stain your table and your fingers and everything else. All right, those are ready. So those will be my centers. Now I want to add the pollen into this one. I'll get a smaller brush. And for this, I'll use gold just for fun. I love this sparkly. I'll show it to you guys here in a second. And I'm only going to put this on the one side. I guess you can put it on both sides. For some reason, I only put it on one side. So it's gonna look like this. And you can actually add a little extra if you want to, right at the base. And I'm telling you, this is the easiest flower. I feel like these and let's see what the lilies that have a very similar structure, I guess, are two of the easiest flowers to make. Okay, so I have those three. The first thing I'll do is take these and tape them together. Where'd my tape go? I think I lost it. Oh, there it is. It's right in front of me, of course. Okay, I'm just gonna put them together flat because I can't really arrange them at this point. So I'll put these together and bundle them. And you can see how it slid around? You just really have to give it a nice pinch and keep going. And then once you get the stick to it, it will stay in place. And if you need to, you can start at the top and do it again. Once you can put tape over tape. Okay, so that's ready. And I will pull these out. We're going to want them in a triangular shape and then give them the stretch right on the edge to give it a nice ruffle. And again, the reason why I like using the heavy crepe paper for this particular one, and also we'll do the bearded iris with this crepe paper as well, is there's so much stretch that you get that incredible ruffle on the edge. And then you'll shape this to kind of come together. Then we're going to add the other three, and I'll try to tuck them in between as best possible. Again, you can always rearrange them once you have the tape on. Okay, then we'll tape.
Someone is wondering, what would you use to make them bearded?
Yes, we're going to show you. We have a couple different techniques that we're going to experiment with. We're going to do a really light, very fine fringed crepe paper, fringed crepe paper to make the beard. I'm doing this beard thing. And we're also we're experimenting with some powder and some really lightweight sand to see if you can just add it on like a pollen. So we'll let you guys know. We're still experimenting right now. I know that the crepe paper version works really great, but we wanted to find a few other versions as well. All right, now I'm taping my stem. Since I don't have as much going on here, I'm gonna push it towards the top. I'm taping my stem in. Okay, these kind of rearrange themselves, but that's okay because you can, and these fold out like this. Of course, you'll want to get that stretch in there.
Someone is wondering if you should always use the up and down of the grain for the flowers and leaves.
What you should do is always look at the pattern, and it will tell you which direction to do the grain. And I will show you if we have a second at the end. If you make the grain the opposite of the petal direction, it will just fall. It's not pretty. So in a way it's up and down, but sometimes it's a little bit sideways as well. All right, so here's my flower. Look how easy that was. You know, it's gluing petals together and then using that the wire to really stretch them. So for this one, I have these three little, I don't know, we'll call them scapes, or we'll call them, what else did I call them, a sepal. And I'm gonna stretch them a bit. This is the gold crepe paper, it's the lightweight gold crepe paper. And I love this because it has sort of a not so metallic on one side and more of a metallic on the other. I'm actually stretching them, now that I say that, I'm stretching them so the gold goes outwards because I want to use more of the non-frosted side. And you'll see what I mean when I tape them on. Okay, so I'm doing that for all three. And then I'll place them right at the base. So I'm actually hiding some of my bits under here where my wires all come together. And then I'll tape those on. I think this is a mom thing when you can use your hands and your elbows and your teeth. I think we learn how to do that as moms, don't we? I don't know, maybe you know how to do it too, Brittany. You're not a mom. All right, and then we have that taped on. You can go back and do the same thing that I did with the other and add the crepe paper to, you know, make it look a little less waxy. I'm not going to do that right now. I forgot to do the leaves on the other one. So the only thing I really do, I like having the leaves on the stems. I think it looks pretty. You can also do the leaves separate if you're wanting to make an arrangement and you want the leaves to kind of have their own voice. But on these, you know, you can stretch them a bit if you want to. I was going to show you this crepe paper in a second. Or you can use the curling tool if you want to. You can also fold these in half and kind of give it a nice, you know, pressing so that you get a fold like this. That actually looks good as well. And once the stem is covered completely with whatever color I want, I'll just add these in and then tape it on. And that is your iris. It's so easy and it's so beautiful. And I love this color. So stay tuned. We will have the bearded iris coming up here shortly. We'll add that into our lineup of paper flowers. Are there any other questions that anyone has? Oh, I was gonna show you the double-sided really quick. All right, so here's the double-sided in green. So you can see that it's two different colors. It's very slight, but there are two different colors. But the stretch on this is not as much, and you can kind of hear the glue cracking when you stretch it. If you go onto our site and type in double-sided, you'll see some really amazing flowers that we made from this crepe paper. So Anna, what's some more questions?
What size brush are you using with your pan pastels?
You know, I use different ones. So this one is for a little bit more. Well, I put tape on it so I can't tell. Okay, this one, if I can tell, because there's paint on this one. Oh, this is an 8. I'm gonna guess that this one is a 12, but it might be bigger, maybe a 16. All right, I'm pulling off the tape. I put tape on it because we use it as a prop for a photo. Oh, 14, okay. Yeah, we use it for a prop for a photo and we wanted it to look prettier. But I think the most important thing with these brushes, I don't like them very stiff. We found that when we use super stiff brushes, it broke up the pan pastel too much, and then we ended up wasting a lot. So I like a little bit of a softer touch. And also the pan pastel sponges are really, really good. So.
And how do you clean the brushes and sponges?
You can wash them. You can wash them with a soap, you know, just like you would clean your makeup brushes. Yeah, you can use a kitchen soap if you want to.
Do you need a fixative on the pan pastels?
I don't use fixative on the pan pastels when I use crepe paper. Sometimes we will use them on frosted paper because if you touch them, I would say if you're making a bridal bouquet and there's a lot of pastel that could be touched by the bride or it could touch her dress, I would use a fixative for that, just in case. Yes.
And do you have any flowers where adding the buds would look realistic?
Yes, there's a lot. You could add buds to this one, and I think it would be really beautiful. We didn't do it, so if you have some ideas, I think it would be pretty easy. You could kind of use some of the tips and then add some green around it instead too, and then maybe make it a bit smaller. Yeah. All right, I think this is it. So thank you for coming. We were going to make a little announcement, but we're not going to after all, right? Well, but I will tell you this, I'll just say this. Later today, maybe tomorrow morning, go check out our site. We're actually doing some updates today. We are going to be updating in the next few months and just making it cleaner and easier for you guys to use and to find what you want. And remember, if you're not a member, make sure and come and join us. We have so much fun, and with being a member, you get all of these patterns and the tutorials and just, you know, discounts and all kinds of extra things from us, and we just love it. We love this community that we're creating, and we would like you to join if you haven't already. So we will see you next time. I know we have a member make in 2 weeks, so make sure and come back then, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.